Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you all doing today? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا فإنه من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Inshallah, today my name is Imam Muhammad Ameen. Like many of you are listening to me right now, I've seen before, and also saw some of my lessons that we've added together in this class for the past 1 year now. For those of you who have been here with us for more than a year, I would like to appreciate your contribution and also being part of this group. We do have Qur'an lessons every Sundays in this class. So it's always 12 p.m. Eastern time every Sundays for those in North America, and it's 5 p.m. UK time every Sundays for those in the UK and Europe. So today, inshallah, as part of our lessons, we've been talking about the mid, the elongations of letters. If you've not watched those past lessons, I would definitely recommend you to go back and watch our previous lessons about mid in the our expert Qur'an group. We've had tons of classes that we've done so far. I would like you to go back and check that out, and so you get to benefit yourself, or even your child. If you have a child who's already learning the Quran that cannot read the Quran fluently, I would recommend you to have them join these lessons every Sundays. And the good thing is that you have access to all our videos, recorded videos of all the modules we've learned for more than a year now. So you didn't pay for this, right? You have access to all those lessons. And you get to join me in this, in the Zoom. If you want to have one-on-one interaction with me in the lessons every Sundays, you're welcome to do that. So I post all the link into this meeting every week. So once I post it, so you guys can be able to kind of see the link and join us together in the lesson, inshallah. So today, inshallah, we'll continue our discussion of the med, and today we're gonna go a bit deeper into the med types. And also talk about the Maddul tabi'i, which is the basic med, the Maddul fara'i, an advanced kind of med that many times people do not know about it, except that they learn about the Quran. A lot of people do not know about the advanced kind of med, which is called the derived med, or call them the secondary med. These are med. A lot of people see the signs in the Quran, but they don't know what they are. They don't know what they mean and what they stand for. So like I said, we've had a lot of lessons from the beginning of Quran recitation, like learning the letters. We've talked about the makharij, the articulation, where the letters come out from. We've talked about the short vowel sound. We've talked about the silent, symbols of Quran letters, and we've talked about many other things. We've talked about the rules of nun second and all that. So you have replete of resources to benefit yourself and your kids from in this class. So today we'll go and talk about a very important part of med, which is al-Maddul fara'i, and we're talking about two kinds of them. We're talking about two kinds of them, right? Now we're talking about al-Maddu al-Jaiz al-Munfasil and Maddu al-Wajib al-Muttasil. And this might be a complete new name that you guys might have heard of. The most common med that we discussed last week and the week before, this is the fourth week we're discussing about med. And so for you to know what mud is, this is not where to learn it. Go and watch our lessons, our previous lessons about mud, so you get to know what is the meaning of mud in Quran. So you will see videos like the ones that we had last week. So in the expert Quran group, like the ones we talk about some kind of mud, like basic mud that look different. So like Maddul, for instance, we talk about that. It's a very special kind of mud. So go watch this video that I did last week and watch it and understand what the basic mud. And also you get to watch all the videos of lessons we've discussed previously about the med letters. So this is part 2 of it, and we had a part 1 of this lesson as far back as November. So where is it? Okay, so this is the first lessons on med. And so you can watch all this. Like I said, this is the third lesson we'll be talking about. I want to kind of chip in a little bit into some kind of med that you see in the Quran. They are called the al-Maddul fara'i, or they call the secondary or the right med. And there are 2 of them that we want to talk about today. And this med are called the Maddul al-Jaiz al-Mufasil and Maddul al-Wajib al-Muttasil, These are important mad that, although, like, as a beginner, you might not understand what do all these mean in the Quran. And we want to talk about that today. You see, we learn about mad. There are 3 letters that will make a letter of the Quran elongate for more than one count. So when you pronounce what, when you pronounce ta, or ti, or tu, or sha, shi, shu. So those letters in those scenarios will be having just one sound. So one beat, or like people call it, they call it one count. So if you have a sheen that has a kasra at the bottom, it's gonna be shi, right? Or if you make it as a word, you call it so let's say this is a word here, and this is a sheen, or you have a ba, right? So everyone here should know right now how to pronounce this word first. And so this one is shibehu, because why? The sheen is pronounced for one count. But sometimes when you see a sheen having an elongation letter, an alif, right? An alif. So this alif is a letter of elongation. And so what it does is that it elongates the sound of the letter for 2 beats. Sha, sha. So that's how you're going to elongate the sound. So, and we said last week that any letter that has an alif to elongate it, that letter must have what? Will have a fatha. So this one's going to be sha. So you see sha. So, but you see the shin only on its own is this. Sha. Right? It's having fatha. Sha. But now there's an alif, which is a letter of elongation. Sha. And so this is the concept of elongation. So I will not go deeper into that. We want to go into what we want to learn today. Like I've showed you guys those lessons I talked about, the basics, the fundamentals of mad. So go watch those videos if you're interested in that. So Maddul al-Wajib al-Muttasil is a kind of mad that it's so important that people do not know about it. And according to the rules of the Tajweed and the way Sallam read the Quran, it's called Maddul al-Wajib al-Muttasil because you see it's called obligatory connected mad, right? Meaning that this is not a basic mad that will only go for 2 counts. It's a derived mad, but it's obligatory to do 4 counts based on the Sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited the Quran that way. And what is this Maddul al-Wajib al-Muttasil? So this mad is so named because the Hamza, see the Hamza letter Hamza follows mad letter within one word. Within a single word, when you have an Hamza, you have an Hamza. So this is an Hamza, and it comes right after a mad letter in a single word. And what is the rule of this mad? It's that it will get elongated for a minimum, a minimum of 4 counts or a minimum of 4 beats. You can't say, oh yeah, you do it, 2, that's not allowed. So it has its own rule of elongating that letter that has it for a minimum of 4 counts. And so for you to know which kind of mad is it, you see a very tiny symbol on top of mad letters, which is, we'll call it the harakatul mad. So let me make it this bigger, and so everyone can see this. So we call those symbols harakatul mad. So harakatul mad are symbols in which it's denoted a secondary mad in the Quran. So you see here under the sawa, you see this undulating fatha. It's not a fatha, and you also see it here. This something is undulating, right? It's not straight. It's called harakatul mad, right? Mad symbol. Harakatul mad symbol. And so when you see that on the letter, it means that letter can get elongated for more than 2 counts. Naturally, the alif that the letter has after the, like this alif naturally is having no sound. So you don't take this to be a fatha. No, it's a mad symbol. So naturally, this alif here is silent and it's elongating the sawa. But the moment you see a situation where you have an alif mad or a waw mad, any letter of mad, so we have 3 letters of mad, we have an alif. So go watch these videos that I've done in the previous sessions 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and last week as well. I talk about the basics of mad letters. So we have alif, waw, and ya. So these are the mad letters. And so these mad letters, anytime they have nothing, they are silent, they are used for elongation. So they elongate the sound of a letter for 2 counts. But what about a scenario where you have an hamza beside that mad letter? And so what will happen in the same word? That is called al-maddu al-wajib al-muttasil. Maddul wajib al-muttasil. And let's practice this. So you will have to elongate the sound of the letter for 4 counts minimum. Minimum, you see, sound held for 4 or 5 counts. So the maximum duration is 5 counts. The maximum duration is 5 counts. So we have some med, there are 3 of them, which are related to when Hamza comes right after a mad letter. And so there are two things that often cause, secondary med, derived med. It's either Hamza or a sukun. So when you see, anytime you see an Hamza, you see a letter Hamza right after a mad letter, either alif mad or a waw mad or a yaw mad, and you see it right after a letter in the same word, like this is a word here, sawa, and this in the same word, you see an Hamza. So pay attention to this. You see an Hamza right after a letter of mad, an alif mad or a waw mad or a yaw mad in the same word, it will be Maddul al-wajib al-muttasil. But sometimes you see an Hamza not in the same word as the mad letter. It might be in the second adjacent word. That's the second part. Al-Maddul al-jaiz al-mufasil, we'll talk about that in a bit. So Maddul wajib al-muttasil will give rise to when an Hamza comes right after a mad letter, a lam, an alif, or a ya, or a wa. And so that makes that letter that having the elongation already get elongated to 4 counts. And that's why these word examples here, these are ta'ifa. So you do it for a minimum of 4 counts, a maximum of 5 counts. So you can count your fingers when doing it. Ta'ifa. So let's read an ayah of the Quran. So ila khati. So you have to be at least 4 counts. Jaza su'a malaika haula. So you do that for 4 counts. This is a tradition. You might be wondering, why is this required? Is this so hard that I have to go about this? Do you want to read the Quran like the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That's the question I have to ask you. Do you want to recite the Quran like the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or you want to read the Quran like your own? You don't care about how the Rasul read the Quran. You're careless about that. Are you the type? I believe no one is not one to follow the Rasul sallallahu in reciting the Quran. So if you want to go by the example of how Rasul recite the Quran, then you need to learn and be able to apply this. Right? So people say, oh yeah, why do we have to do this? It's ignorant sometimes, like, oh yeah, I just have to do the way I want. No. Quran has its own way to be recited. It has rules, it has ways to be that Quran needs to be recited that way in which Rasulullah has recited to the Sahaba. There are different ways, but you need to make sure the way that you recite it is in accordance to what Rasulullah has eventually done. With that, you are doing the mutaba. You are following the Rasulullah in everything, in terms of habits, manners, recitation of the Quran, right? So let's give an example of Maddul wajib al-muttasil, like here. إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم. So you guys would remember we've learned the rules of izhar. Yeah, these are a lot of lessons we've learned before, guys. So if you are watching this video right now, don't get intimidated. We have the guide session of our expert calendars group. If you go to the guide from your computer or your tablet, you see the guide session. We have all the videos of the class. You can get seated and pace yourself and learn all this from the beginning to the scratch. Watch the Quran classes video. We making another segment maybe this week where all those lessons, of course, all the lessons from the beginning are here. You can watch all these and get yourself, acquainted with all those basics, and so you can enjoy all our subsequent classes together here every Sunday, inshallah. So when you go and finish the discussion about Maddul al-wajib al-muttasil, and this is here. So you elongate the wa for 4 counts minimum. Or here, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي You see, the Hamza is right after the mad letter in the same word. And here, تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ. So that's an ayah in the Quran. So the main thing I want to drive out here is that the Maddul al-wajib al-muttasil is when Hamza comes right after a mad letter in the same word. So, and the minimum duration is 4 counts, right? Or here, وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً. You see how I pronounce this? So this is a mad that we'll learn later on. It's called al-maddu al-aridun. It's called al-maddu al-iwad because the fathataini is going to convert to an alif mad anytime you stop on it, except for a letter ha or a letter ta marbuta. That's the only situation where you will not convert it to an alif. But any of the letters of the Quran, and you want to stop on them, you see fathatini. This is a topic we're going to learn later on. So, but the main thing I want you to observe here is the way I elongated this alif here. Wanisa. So the mad has to be elongated for 4 count minimum. So the last part we discussed today is al-maddu al-jaiz al-munfasil. And so Maddul al-jaiz al-munfasil is the opposite of Maddul al-wajib al-muttasil, being that the mad letter is the hamza comes after, right? The hamza comes after the mad letter in another word. You see here, qalu amanna. So this one here, the mad letter is the alif here, the waw here, the waw, right? Lu, and you see, although this one is called Maddul Bala sometimes, so you see the hamza is here. Let's give you a very clear example of this one here. Fi anfusikum, right? So you see this fi having a ya at the bottom. The ya is a letter of mad elongating the fi. So here you see the fi is a word on its own, separated from anfusikum. And so the anfusikum has the hamza after the mad letter. In this scenario here, this one is called al-mad al-jaiz al-munfasil. It means if a mad letter occurs at the end of a word and the following word begins with the hamza, so lengthening beyond 2 counts is optional. And so the minimum is just 2 counts elongation for this one. The maximum is going to be 4. So one may hold the mad letter sound for either 2 counts, 4 or 5 counts or beats. So we need to make sure the length of holding this is consistent. So what I used to tell my student when we learn this topic is anytime you see an hamza right after a letter of mad, just be consistent and do 5 counts, because the Maddul wajib al-muttasil, the maximum is 5. The Maddul al-jaiz al-mufassal, the maximum duration is also 5. So I'll tell them just do 5 counts and avoid not being consistent in recitation. So that's what I do personally when I read, and I have my student also do the same thing, because they both might be confusing, but they all have maximum of 5 counts recitation. So why not do 5 counts for both of them? Although al-jaiz al-mufassal has the option of doing 2 counts, but sometimes you might not recognize that. So anytime you see a letter hamza right after a mad letter, I tell them use 5 counts for all of them, and so you become more consistent, right? Fi anfusikum. So this here, inna. So you can do 2 counts, or I prefer to do 5 counts. So the maximum is 5, the minimum is 2. Unlike al-maddu al-jaiz al-wajib al-muttasil, you see muttasil means it's connected. So in the same word, its own is minimum of 4 counts, right? So al-jaiz al-mufassal, its own minimum is 2, maximum of 5. Wajib al-muttasil, the maximum count or elongation is 5. Al-jaiz al-mufassal, the maximum elongation also 5. Right, so I do recommend my student to always do 5 counts for both of this kind of mad, because they have both maximum of 5. And the thing is that hamza is the determining factor. Where the hamza is the hamza connected to the mad letter in the same word, or the hamza is in another word, right? So regardless of what you see, hamza in the same word or after in another word, do 5 counts so you are safe from inconsistencies in recitation, right? So here, for instance, you say Inna awhayna ilayka kama awhayna ila Nuhin wan nabiyyina min ba'dih. So this is an ayah. We just brought this out as an example to show how actually you can do mad al-jaiz al-mufassal and maddu al-wajib al-muttasil. If you'd like to learn more about this, you can do some exercise and send me recordings of your recordings and have me check it out to see if you're actually practicing the mad al-jaiz al-mufassal and al-wajib al-muttasil. And if you want to go further and get a mentorship program and be consistent, because sometimes you're not consistent in learning Quran, make no sense. So consistency is the key. So if you want to help your child get consistent and mostly get to learn to read the Quran in 4 months, you want to help your child avoid lack of motivation in learning Quran, you want them to be able to remember what they've learned and also achieve the goal in 4 months. So reach out to us, comment below this video, and he can walk you through the steps and our structure, our program, and what we do to help students like yours, your child like yourself, learn to read the Quran in 4 months, inshallah. I would like to end the meeting, the call right now. So inshallah, next week we'll be here for another episode of our lesson. If you like this video or you want to have any question, comment, and click like, and check this out, and we'll be uploading all our videos and getting them in structured for you guys, so you can watch all this video on your own and follow through and experiment and do those in the Quran yourself. Like I said, if you need more help, do not hesitate to reach out to us, inshallah. Comment below this video if you're interested to get to know more about it or want to enroll your child, and we'll be willing and happy to give you more details, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'll see you later, inshallah.